How's it going, guys? This is a little refresher on how to find the slope between 2 points by using the formula. So let me remind you all that a point always consists of two letters, an x and a y. It's also called an ordered pair, and we use it to graph on a coordinate plane. Okay, so instead of finding the slope of 2 points by plotting them and then counting the rise and the run. In this quick video, we're going to use this formula, which actually finds the difference between the 2 points. That's why there's the subtraction sign there. It's always subtract. Okay, don't forget that it's always subtract. So let's start with our first example here. Let's say we have the points. So our x will be 3 and our y will be 4. Okay, make sure you're writing this down. And then our next point, right, because we need 2 points, we'll say that the x is 7 and the y is, I don't know, let's use 1. 2 points. Okay, so if we look at our formula here, it says that to find our rise, right, our rise is the number that goes up or down. We would need to subtract the second y minus the first y. Well, every point has an x and a y, so I know that the y's are going to be my second numbers here. Those are my y's. Now, how do I know which one's the second y and which one's the first y? Well, that's simple. I mean, it actually doesn't really matter which one you use first, as long as you stay consistent. But how about we just name the one that came up first? We'll name that one the first y, and then this one over here will be our second y. Okay, so now I just need to plug these numbers into the formula. So I would need to subtract my second y, which happens to be a 1, minus my first y, which is a 4. Okay, and that goes on top of the fraction bar because that is our rise. So change in y's is our rise. So then what is 1 minus 3? Well, 1 take away 4, we're taking away more than we had, so we got to get into the negative, so our rise is going to be down 3. Okay, next let's talk about the run. To find the run, or our horizontal movement, left or right, we would need to subtract the second x minus the first x. Well, x is always the first number, so these are our x values, the 3 and the 7. The first x is the 3, and then the second x is the 7. Okay, now the formula says to subtract the second x minus the first x. Okay, so I'm going to subtract the second x, which is 7, minus the first x, which is 3. And 7 minus 3, that will give me 4. So we now found that the slope of the line between these 2 points is down 3, right 4. Down 3 and right 4. That is our slope, and we found it mathematically by finding their difference. Okay, now let's do one with a negative in it so that we have both examples. Okay, let's say we have the points. All right, let's think about this. Well, let's just put a -2 and 3 as our first point, and then our second point we'll put 5, -1. Okay. Now I might want to label these just so that I don't make a mistake, since we're barely kind of starting this section. I know that all points have an x and a y, x and a y, right? X and y is a point. Now, which one's the first point and which one's the second point? Well, I'm just going to say that this one that came up first will give me my first x and my first y, and this one will give me my second x and my second y, just because they came up second. So now, according to the formula, now I just got to plug it in. I'm going to subtract the second y minus the first y. So -1 is my second y, minus 3 is my first y. And then in the bottom, I subtract the second x minus the first x. So my second x is 5 minus, and my first x is -2. -2. Notice I still put the negative even though there's already a minus sign. The formula has a minus sign in it already. So if I happen to have a negative number, I still got to put that negative there. Okay, so now I can just solve -3 minus 3. Well, that's going to continue the negative motion to a -4. Over a 5 minus a -2. Well, minus and a negative next to each other there will turn into a plus. So 5 plus 2 is 7. So -4/7 would be our slope of this one. So down 4, right 7 is our slope. All right, guys. Later.